Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about how to arrange harmony for your compositions. Because let's say you have learned how to find the right chords for your melody. How do you actually go about putting them into your composition? Because there is a lot of techniques and different ways and different methods you can use, giving different flavors and variations to your compositions. And this video is going to be kind of an overview video. We're going to look at different ways I use to arrange harmony for my compositions that I think are essential and important tools to have in your toolbox. And later on, I'm going to do actual instructional videos for each of these methods so you can learn quick and easy ways to do them too. And throughout the video, we're going to use this melody to demonstrate the different techniques and arrange them in different ways with all the different techniques I'm talking about. And the melody goes something like this. So let's start with the first technique. So probably the simplest way you can arrange the harmony for your compositions is with the keyboard style. And the keyboard style harmonization is very quick. It gets you a good voice leading, and it is very easy to do actually on the keyboard, on the piano. And that's why it's called keyboard style harmonization. So here I have like traditional keyboard style harmonization where the melody is the top voice of the four voices. So you have to have three voices in your right hand, one voice or the bass in your left hand. Or the right hand's going to fit within an octave. And it sounds perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with this. It works and it could stay like that if you wanted to. But of course you can do even more. This could just be a starting point for further arranging and techniques. So for example, if I put some four-part writing or melodic techniques into it, we could, for example, use delayed entrance, passing notes, a first inversion bass, and a little bit of suspension. You get an even more exciting harmony in the keyboard style. So it could sound something like this for example, 3 clarinets and a bass clarinet. But you don't have to connect the keyboard harmonization to your melody. You could, for example, have your melody stand alone on top and have a separate keyboard style harmonization below it. And for example, you could arrange that with rhythm and get some rhythm into it. And if you mock that up and orchestrate it, for example, for a brass section of an orchestra, this is something you could get. So the second technique we're going to talk about today is the four-part writing method. And four-part writing has many names. It could also be called SATB writing for soprano, alto, tenor, and bass writing. It's sometimes called choral writing or hymn tune writing because it's often used for a choir. And this is a really old school technique. It was developed over hundreds of years and culminated maybe with Bach in the 1700s, where a lot of the gold standard for how to write four-part writing was made. So it's not as quick as keyboard style harmonization, but it's a bit freer for the voices. You get more melodic voices and more spread out voices throughout your orchestration. So it's a very good tool to have in your toolbox, and I highly recommend that you learn this technique as well. And you can use it like they used to use it in the 1700s and still use it maybe for choir music, where the harmony follows the melody exactly or almost exactly in the rhythm. And that's important, for example, when you have lyrics that you want to sing, because then to get the lyrics out, everybody needs to have the same rhythm to be able to make the lyrics clear. And for four voices, it could sound like this. I love four-part writing. But you don't need to connect it that strongly to your melody rhythmically. A more maybe modern approach, and if you don't have any lyrics, because I rarely write for choir, I write mostly for orchestra and instrumental groups, then you could slow down the rhythm a little bit and follow the harmonic rhythm instead of the melodic rhythm. And we could do further orchestration on this like we did for the keyboard style orchestration. And we could add maybe a passing note, suspension, escape note, enclosure, rhythmical displacement. And if we mark this up for a string section, it could sound something like this. And the third technique we're going to look at is harmonic planing, also called a thickened melody by some. I like that term because it's just following the melody but adding harmony directly beneath it and following the same contour mostly as the melody. And this does not give independent voices in your harmony, but it really thickens up your melody and gives you some harmonic context. So it's a great tool and a must-have in your toolbox as well. So here you can see I've followed with harmony with diatonic chords as closely as I can to the melody all the way throughout. I don't care about any parallels. I don't care about having independent voices. I just want to have a thick melody voice here. So if I orchestrated this for example, 3 trumpets playing that thickened melody, I could double that in the trombones an octave below and maybe have some kind of bass instruments in the bottom. It could sound like this. And the fourth technique we're going to look at today is probably the opposite of a thickened melody, and that's counterpoint. And counterpoint is making a counter melody or a counter voice that is going to both be its own independent voice, but at the same time support the melodic voice with some harmonic context. So then you make a separate melody that's going to fit with your main melody, and it should also fill in missing harmony at the same time to give it a intricate and a very beautiful way of giving harmonic context and arranging for your pieces. And if I arrange that, for example, for 2 clarinets, it could sound like this. Another way to get a little bit more horizontal movement and drive into your compositions is using ostinatos and arpeggios. So if we look at arpeggios first, you just take the harmony that you want to use, the chord that you want to use, and you can play one and one note in the chord in some kind of a pattern or without a pattern. And if, for example, you can orchestrate this for a harp and a flute. Ostinatos are more repetitive in nature, so they can look a little bit like arpeggios because you are breaking the chords, giving some harmonic context in a rhythmical way. But it's more pattern based. So you find a pattern that you like and repeat it so it becomes a little mini theme of its own at the same time that it gives some kind of a harmonic context. So for example, here I have the melody on top. I have an ostinato in the middle playing a pattern that is playing around different chord tones. And I have a little bit of a rhythmical bass to support the melody and the ostinato below. And if I mock this up for strings and trumpet, it can sound like this. And the last technique we're going to look at today is the compound line. And compound means combining 2 different things into one. And that's exactly what a compound line is. You combine 2 different functions. So usually it's both a melodic function and a harmonic function in one. So that means when the melody line isn't playing the melody note, it can fill in harmony in between. So for example, like this, in the blue notes here, I have the melody as it's written originally, but in between, in all the pauses on the 8 notes, I've filled in some harmonic context. So it's both playing the melody and giving itself accompaniment. So this is what it sounds like, for example, for a solo clarinet. So that's all the techniques I've talked about today. There are, of course, several other techniques out there you can use to harmonize things, but these are all very essential and something I use a lot when composing and arranging harmony for my compositions. And of course, you can combine these into rich and colorful orchestrations. And if you want to learn how to use all these different techniques, just push the subscribe button and push the little bell, the notification button, to get notification when I drop the next videos. So I'll see you in the future. Have a nice day. Bye bye.